Hi out there, and welcome to the Revere Veterans and Community Show. Today we have a real special guest. He's the new director of our library, Kevin Sheehan. Thank you, Kevin, for coming down here, and thank you for being our new director. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Not only that, you're a very young director, so tell us how you first got involved in this.
Well, I studied classics in college, and that's a very employable major. So after I graduated college, I took a job teaching English in Japan. And being overseas, it was kind of hard to get access to English language reading material.
How long ago were you in Japan, if I may ask?
I was there from 95 to 2000, 99, and four and a half years.
And how did you like Japan?
It was wonderful. Yeah, I was in Kobe, and they'd just had a huge earthquake 6 months prior.
Was that the one with the nuclear plant there?
No, that was long before that.
Oh, long before that?
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do after you left Japan?
Well, I came back to the States, and I got a job in the travel industry, because when I traveled in Japan and when I was a college student, I liked to travel. And then 9/11 happened. And so then I looked for another job. I got a job teaching ESL to Koreans, English as a second language, in Boston. And then the school kind of petered out, and I applied for a job at the MIT libraries. And I worked there for 9.5 years.
At the MIT library?
Yes.
You couldn't have picked a better technical school, I'll tell you that. I went to Lowell Institute when I got out of the service, and that's MIT. They had an evening school because I was married. I couldn't go in the daytime. I had to work. But let me tell you, it is one of the best technical schools in the whole country, and I think you'll agree with me on that.
Sure.
And they got a fabulous library. And another library, did you ever go into the Harvard University library downstairs?
They have several of them, so I haven't been in the Widener library, but I've been in I think it's Gutman, where they have a huge map collection.
Yep. And they got books that are over 200-300 years old down there. So that's good. Wow. I want you to talk about, if you can, about, for example, we have computers now, we have tablets now, we have notebooks, and we also have Kindle tablet. And they have books on there that you don't have to go to the library for. Does that reduce in any way people going to the library, or it makes no difference really?
I don't really know. I think people who buy books will always buy books, and people who borrow books will always borrow books. And I think people who buy books will also borrow books. They're a little bit of a mixture. You still have to buy the books to put them on the tablet, or e-reading device. And but the library still offers them for free.
They do? You
can borrow them for 3 weeks, just like a book.
Where, at the Revere Library?
Yeah, they come from the North Boston Library Exchange. It's all one big catalog.
Well, let me ask you, like the Lynn Library, Chelsea Library, Winthrop Library, they're all in one. In other words, if the other one has a book that you don't have, they'll...
Right. I mean, they have some collections that they don't lend out, maybe, like especially the academic libraries. Merrimack College is part of the NobleNet, and North Shore Community Colleges, and maybe they have things that are only for students. But for the most part, you can get books from the other libraries.
Right, and another question that came up, people ask me, is there's groups. Now, can groups hold meeting at the library if they want to?
Well,
or what kind of groups?
Unfortunately, we don't have any meeting rooms.
None at all.
If they don't mind the world hearing what goes on, they can meet in the area and just sit at some tables. Some have, but other people, actually just the other day, a Boy Scout troop called. And unfortunately, we didn't have the space because we had a Board of Trustees meeting going on in the children's room, and we had the neighborhood developers coming to do the tax preparation, and they have a whole half of the upstairs, and the rest is for the patrons. So unfortunately, we can't really accommodate meetings the way that other libraries can because we have such a small building.
Right. Another thing I was going to ask you, Kevin, I'm a senior myself. I get around, but with a little difficulty, but there are seniors that hardly get around. And can they, handicapped people, if I can use that word, or disabled people, can they get into the library, or there's no way for them to have access?
They can get into the library in the rear, the children's entrance.
When you say in the rear, you mean by the Immaculate Conception in the back there?
Yeah, between Immaculate Conception and Library Street.
Oh, I see.
The parking lot, the Immaculate
Right.
Conception parking lot, there's a
Oh,
door
yeah.
to the children's library.
So they can come in through
Right.
there.
There's a ramp, and then they can go into the computer room. They can use the computers, or they can browse the large
Right.
print collection.
That-
But if they want a book from the upstairs,
Upstairs,
we would
right.
have to retrieve it for them,
Okay,
unfortunately.
but you will do that.
Sure.
So any senior that wants to come to the library, that can make it to the first floor, let's say, the librarian will take care of them up there?
Sure. Unfortunately, we can't really browse. Somebody can't come in and say, "I'm looking for a mystery," and then we'll charge. I mean.
Right, and spend an hour
Yeah,
looking for
but
the
if
book.
they say, "I'm looking for the latest, James Patterson novel," we can look to see if we have it, and if we can bring it down, and
So-
they can borrow it.
So if a senior comes in and says, I'm looking for Jane Eyre or Wuthering Heights,
We can
someone
look-
will go up there and get it and bring it down to them. So
Sure.
there you go, seniors. There's no reason for you not to use the library, okay? Now, also, mothers with little babies, I call them toddlers. Mothers with toddlers.
I have one.
You got one too? Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
Can they use the library and leave a toddler there? Is there a place there for them?
I mean, they can stay with their children, but we don't have any baby care services.
Not at all.
So the answer is no. But we do have some programs where they can, Spanish language or story times.
I'm a senior, and I go to the senior center in Revere. And some of the seniors ask me, we have a lovely lady that teaches computer classes in the daytime. Maybe you know her, Lois Diamond.
I don't think I know her.
Well, she's a terrific, she teaches computers. But some of them cannot do it in the daytime, and they was wondering, is there any possibility that the library could have maybe once a week for a certain amount of time to have classes down at the library to help the elderly? Or maybe you don't have it yet, but you might have it in the future?
That is something I'm looking into. I'm hoping it could be volunteer staffed by
High school
students.
kids.
Right. The Reading Public Library has something like that. A
For
program
seniors?
called, I think for anybody really. I think they're called Net Guides. But I know that the senior center is exploring this too with
Tablets,
iPads.
yes. But right. But I had 8 people come over to me today when I mentioned that I was going to interview you, and they said, ask Kevin about the computers. So you might be looking at that into the future for us?
Yes, definitely.
Can I ask you to put me down as number 1 then?
Sure.
'Cause I'm a computer
Sure.
dummy, and I do mean a computer dummy.
Well, even people who use computers still have room to learn. There are gaps in our learning, or maybe you can only turn it on and type an email, and that's all you can do. There's always things you can learn. One of the things that I subscribed to, it's an online training resource called lynda.com.
What's the name of it again?
lynda.com. L-Y, not I, L-Y
What?
like yellow, NDA.com.
And what does that do?
It offers over 2,000 video tutorials, and it's mainly computer heavy. If you're a complete beginner, it might not be for you, but if you can already use a computer a little bit, there's something on there definitely that you can learn. Even if you're a good user, you can. If you're a photographer, you can watch a video on advanced Photoshop techniques to enhance your photographs and things like that. Now, anybody can access it using a Revere Public Library card.
And it's called lynda.com?
Right, from our website. Unfortunately, it's hard to find on the website right now, but I'm working on the website to make things like that more prominent and easily findable.
Right, and before we continue on, if people need any help whatsoever, how would they contact? Can you give them a number and an email?
Well, they can call the library directly and ask any staff member.
What's
It's
that library directory?
781-286-8380. That's 781-286-8380.
286-8380. And if they want to email you?
It's my first initial last name. That's KSHEEHAN at Noblenet, NOBLENET.org.
Right.
It stands for North of Boston Library Exchange, and that's the consortium that we belong to.
I have a lady that comes into our senior center. I won't mention her name, but she mentioned to me that you are looking to help the disabled people by trying to get an elevator. How are you doing with that?
Well, I mean, I haven't really made a lot of progress. I mean, she has done a lot to help garner support for it. But we need more than an elevator. I mean, ideally, I would like to have an addition with an elevator in the addition.
Oh, I see.
But if we can't get anything else, I would like the elevator because I'd like people to be able to use the full building.
I hope our people in the city of Revere is listening to that, because a lot of the people have a difficult time walking. And like you say, they can only access to the first floor, and then they need your help. So with an elevator, they will be able to maneuver around everywhere. So maybe in the future, if we have the money coming in,
right.
And if we do get, I know the casino, which we voted for, because this is one of the things why the people voted for it, so the money would be there to help you get an elevator. So if you're listening out there, make sure Kevin gets his elevator. And so
it's not my elevator, it's the citizens of Revere.
Right. So we don't have to
I need to take the stairs myself. I need to make sure I don't get too heavy.
Right. Kevin, before we continue, I have to say this, we're going to donate this American flag to you. And we want to thank you, first of all, for coming up here again. This was given to us by Stop and Shop, the Revere Police, the Revere Fire Department, and the Revere Veteran Service. We have a director here. His name is Nick Bowen. And we usually give this to military veterans, but you are a special case, so we want you to have it as a memorial from the people of Revere for what you do for us.
I'm honored.
I'll tell you, we're honored, because when I was a kid, we were taught knowledge is the most important thing. You might lose everything else, but the knowledge you gained, you will keep to the rest of your life. And it was through the books when I was a little boy that we used to use the library, and that's where we got our knowledge. Don't use me as a guide, but I mean, that's how we learn.
Why not?
Right, now I want to get back to you. We have a bunch of questions here. And these come from our seniors and from other people outside the city of Revere. What programs are free and what programs cost does the library have to offer? In other words, what programs do you charge for and what programs don't you charge for?
Well, borrowing a book is free unless you return it late.
And how much is that? What's the late fee?
Now that I open my big mouth, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I think it's 10 cents a day, and I'm not sure. But, in academic libraries like at MIT, it was 50 cents a day.
50 cents a day?
But if it was on course reserve, it was $2 an hour, because the professor would put these books aside for the class to use. And
I see.
It was important. So
you're talking if a guy was a day late, he would be paying $48?
Yeah.
I could see why MIT.
Yeah, and those books are expensive, too. Yeah.
How much does some of those books cost, roughly, approximately?
400, some could be 300, some could be 500. Some of them could be out of print, and you wouldn't be able to buy them again. Maybe, I don't know. There was one DVD that cost $400.
Just a DVD?
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the kind of thing you could get, at Barnes & Noble or your local, Shaw's or Star Market. It was it was about an architect. It was from the specialty publisher, but it was about $450.
Right. I was going to ask you about the libraries, because I always get a little curious, like a little cat. One of the oldest libraries in the country. I mean, there's so many of them, but which one would you think is one of the oldest?
I think it's in dispute, but I think Boston lays claim to being the first.
Oh, Boston Public Library?
I believe so. Or the Boston Athenaeum. I'm not sure.
Wasn't that done by Benjamin Franklin?
I think he had links. He had something to do with one of them. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
The details escape me.
Now, remember we were talking about Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
A question came up. Does the library have a program for downloading e-books? I don't know what that lady meant by e-book. Okay. Electronically?
Yes, it's called Overdrive. It's linked from our site, or it's the North of Boston Library Exchange site, which is on our site. You can browse the catalog and borrow books. Some of them are on loan. You'd think it's electronic; anybody can get it, but no, it's on loan, just like a physical book.
I don't know if they still have it, but I remember, because I do music for our seniors and other people. I used to go to the Revere Library and get even not download, but borrow CDs. Do they still have them there?
I don't think we have any music CDs, but we have books.
DVDs?
We have a few. I'm working on getting more DVDs now.
Oh,
we just have to find a place to put them in a secure location.
So let me ask you, Kevin, if anybody would like to donate DVDs, but not CDs, DVDs, they can donate it to the library?
Sure, and depending on the condition, maybe we can add to the collection. Maybe we'll have to, pass it along to somebody else who could use it.
Right. So if any of you people out there in Revere want to get rid of some DVDs, bring them up to Kevin at the library and tell us exactly where you're located at.
179 Beach Street, between Immaculate Conception and First Baptist, I think it is, right on the other side of Library Street.
Okay. Repeat that one more time.
Across from Verizon.
yeah, repeat that address one more time.
179 Beach Street.
Good. So make sure, don't throw them away. Kevin, they'll load you up with it. Okay. Now I got another question for you. Okay, this was asked to me by a mother with a little child, but this can continue with all of them. What kind of program does the library have to offer for little kids, adults, and seniors? Because they're different groups of people. Can you expand on that for me, please, Kev?
Sure. For children, that's the easiest one to say. We have Spanish language classes, we have story times, we have active crafts.
Me, for the kids, you said Spanish?
Yes.
You mean somebody in there will teach the little toddler Spanish?
Yes. Yeah, Lorraine, she's great.
And could you tell us the hours?
They're usually in the mornings. The calendar is on our website.
Right.
But they're in the mornings between like 11:30, 10:30 to 12. They have different ones for different ages, I believe, but probably like 3 to 5 would be one group.
Oh, I see.
And then
3 to 5?
Yeah, that young.
That's young. That's 82 years younger than me, Okay.
And we have some kids who are bilingual, trilingual come,
Right. And what language besides Spanish do they have there?
That's the only one that we teach in person. I don't know if Lorraine teaches Portuguese as well. But another thing I subscribe to is called Mango Languages. And again, that's linked from our site under programs, and I'm working on making that more prominent. But that one has, I think, 25 different languages. It has, if you want to learn Greek, you can learn modern Greek. If you want to learn ancient biblical Greek, Koine, you can learn that. You can learn Latin. People want to learn English as a second language. There are classes in that for native Chinese speakers, native Spanish speakers, native French speakers.
Oh, good. Before we go into that, people come, the legal immigrants that came into this country, the legal immigrants, if they want to learn English, they can go to the library to learn it too?
We don't offer any physical in-person classes yet, but they can, if they have a library card, they can learn it from home. They just have to enter their library card number and their password. And if they don't know their password, they can come by the library or call, and we can reset their password, and then they can log in. And even for advanced learners, they have a new feature for this service called Mango Premiere. You can watch feature films in the foreign language with subtitles. In
other words, I could watch like an Arabic movie with English subtitles, or
no, because you want to learn Arabic. You can watch an Arabic movie with Arabic subtitles.
Oh.
And then like a little, you can, if you're really serious, you can watch an Arabic movie line by line and practice your listening. That's how granular it is. That's how detailed it is.
That's pretty good. And that would be for adults or kids as well?
I think it's more geared for adults, but the kids have something called Muzzy foreign languages. That's again, I think.
What is a Muzzy?
Yeah, M-U-Z-Z-Y. I don't know what it means, but
I don't know
it's
what
more
it means
game.
either.
It's more like a game, using games to learn the language.
And what about people like us, seniors?
Well, we can get some books. We might have some books. We can get some books for you, and maybe even post some classes. I don't know if they offer anything at the Revere Community School, but we're happy to cooperate with any organization that can help our residents learn.
You know what I would like to see? Maybe someday, if you have a chance or some free time, call our senior director, Steve Fielding.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him you'd like to come down and talk to our people, and you could explain not just to me on TV, but sometimes when we have over 100 or 102, 3, 4, 104 seniors, you can let them know exactly what you're telling me here on the library that
I
it
sure
does.
will. And once I finish that website, then it'll be easier to show everybody. But right now, I'm just bogged down in a lot of things, and unfortunately, I haven't been able to dedicate enough attention that it.
And I have to ask you this: beside the elevator, I know we need that. That's no question about it, because otherwise you would have a lot more people coming to the library. What else would you like to see in the future for the library? Not only the Revere Library, nationwide libraries make improvements that they don't have now? If you
Well,
could.
it's hard to say nationwide because some of the libraries, in our own back door are great. I've a couple weeks ago I visited the Newton Public Library. They have performance space. They have a gallery. A lot of libraries have a local history section. I guess it'd be the Revere Historical Society's collection. In Chicopee, where I'm from, they have an outdoor performance space, and they use it in the summertime. They have little concerts out there. They have, up in Danvers, they have, I think it's called Create Space. They have a 3D printer there. You know what a 3D printer is? You want to make a little Betsy Ross, you put it in the machine, and it creates a Betsy Ross.
And in other words, it makes, if I want to make for example, an airplane, like a Boeing 17, I could, no, I'm not joking.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you had a model, you could make it.
Is that something new? Because I never heard of
It's been out
this.
in a few days. I know that I first experienced heard of them when I was at MIT, but now they're becoming more and more commonplace, and the Peabody Institute in Danvers has a 3D printer. It's part of their Create Space, where it also has places for painting, and it's great. Lots of libraries are doing a lot of exciting things, and unfortunately, we're limited by our building.
You got to explain it to dummy here. I mean, the 3D print. What is the material that comes out of it? You mean it actually?
It wouldn't be yarn. It would be some sort of hard material. I think what it does takes, for example, concrete it's really dust.
Yep.
It takes the dust, mushes it together.
Oh.
In the form, and then
in other words,
I don't know exactly what the material is.
If I had a picture of you, let's say, and I put it in the computer and run it to the 3D printer, it would make a little copy of you?
I think it wouldn't be a picture. I think you need a bust of me or something like that, but it would make another bust, yeah.
Oh, exactly like you then.
It depends on the bust, but I'm not going in that kind of machine. No siree. I'd be curious if anyone tried that out, but...
This is the first time I've heard about it, so we learn something new every day. What do you look? Since you mentioned the 3D printer, what's the next thing that you think they might be coming up with at the library?
Oh, who knows? I really don't know. Personally, I think libraries should stick to what they've been for, literacy.
But let me ask, is there a chance in the future, for example, I know people never going to the library, let's say, never going, but having a computer or tablets or whatever, that if they want to read a book or get something, or even through the 3D printer, they could get it out of from your library in there? That you would be just one putting the stuff in a computer and passing it out to thousands of people?
It could be, but even Amazon proposed delivering their books to customers through drones. Recently, that's not. You know what a drone is? Like an remote-controlled aircraft.
Yeah, like they have in the middle in Afghanistan, where they shoot down people.
Yeah, no, not the huge one, but they have small-sized versions.
That will fly around here.
Even paparazzi have used them to take celebrity photos, like little radio-controlled. Put a camera up in a drone and.
Can you imagine someone calling up at night and wanting a book, and the drone is delivering at 2 in the morning and waking up the whole neighborhood?
That's imaginable.
That's good. Kevin,
I hope it never happens.
I have to say this to you. We got about 4 minutes left, as you see over there. Take about 3 minutes and speak of whatever you want to. What you would like to see really in the future. How you feel about. You never talked about your education, I believe, where you graduated from. Oh. About your family. Let us have a little of that.
Well, I'm happily married and father of a 17-month-old little boy.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he's such a joy to have. And so I went to Assumption College in Worcester, Massachusetts. I studied classics, which is ancient Greek and Latin, language and philosophy. And so then, it wasn't a very employable skill in 1995, but teaching was. So I took a job teaching English in Japan, and then I traveled around. I got the travel bug, went into the travel industry, and then used my interest in libraries to get a job at MIT, and then I learned a lot there. I
have to ask you this. Japan, I know besides the Japanese language, what's their second predominantly? Is it English?
Yeah, I would say so because,
Chinese?
well, I would say it's English because it's taught in the schools, just like Spanish is taught here, or French. But I think here you have an elective.
Right.
You know, Spanish, French, Chinese, their English is a requirement.
As I was growing up through the years, French at one time was predominant language, Italian was a predominant language. Now it's English that's a predominant language, and now they're talking about the Chinese with almost 4 billion people, 400 million. That's a lot of people. Of China becoming a predominantly language. I don't see that happening because their writing is completely different than what we are used to on there. So
it's tough to learn.
Yep. Now let's see what programs happen. What is for Talus? Free? Library. Okay, Kevin. You say your boy is 17 years old. Your child is 17 months. Mm-hmm. What would you like him to be when he grows up, or she? Is it a he or a she?
It's a boy.
It's a boy, so it's got to be a he. See how smart I am?
Yeah. Well, I'd like him to be a good man.
Yeah. Do you want him to follow in your footsteps?
No, I want him to forge his own path.
So think for himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's good, Kevin. So I have to say to you, I want to thank you for taking the time, your valuable time for coming up here. It's an honor to have you up here, Kevin.
Thank you.
And I hope you people use the library. And before we close out, I would like to say a few things. I always say to you, God bless you for coming up here. God bless you for taking care of yourself, too. God bless our troops, the people of Revere, but most of all, our great country, the United States of America. Thank you all for listening. Until the next time.